Hey, what's up, guys? I want to talk about Jung today. Jung. I'm gonna say Jung a lot. It's Jung. Carl Jung. I've been reading The Psychology of Transference. I haven't really brought up too many points about it, but I just wrote a lot about the daemonic, as he says it. I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation, but it doesn't really matter. So it's spelled like he spelled it Daemonic, but then he also spells it in different writings Daimonic. So yeah. So to get a proper grasp of this, we need to understand Jung's. Sorry, I'm gonna mispronounce it a lot, guys. I heard it first as Jung, and now I just say that all the time. So you need to understand Jung's concept of the conscious and subconscious mind. I did a video on Jung in the past, and I laid out his different stuff with the ego, persona, and then the shadow, right? So he writes the analogy that consciousness is an island, right? And the unconscious or subconscious is the ocean surrounding it. So you can see the SC as in subconscious, conscious, and regardless of how much of the ocean gets pushed back, right? The tides go differently by seasons, right? There will still be infinitely more subconscious than conscious, regardless of how much you push it, right? So it's infinite archetypes, infinite forms, and not all of them can be known, regardless of how much learning you do. You will always be controlled by archetypes and symbols as living creatures of the unconscious, living as in they are changing and active. So this brings me to my point of yesterday when I was reading it. I'm on page, in the PDF I'm reading it, it's like page 9 or 10, but in the actual thing it's page 18. Yeah, so page 18, paragraph 375 is where he brings this up. But I wrote this example down before I even looked at it, before I looked at the part about the demonic. And let's say we go back to the island analogy. The potency of the unconscious contents always compensates the corresponding weakness of the conscious mind and its functions. So, the serious cases of the neurotic and psychotic fear going mad in the exposure of this. The less serious, just the average person, fears the understanding of their subconscious mind, right? Hence the avoidance of psychological explanation for art, philosophy, and religion. But this is what I was going to say. So when someone is neurotic, this is what their island looks like. There's an invisible octopus coming from the ocean, right? It can't go on the island, but it's using its tentacles and arranging things to be in a certain way, right? Arranging the resources of the island, otherwise known as, when you're neurotic, the subconscious mind is arranging your conscious mind, hence the compulsion, right? So what is neuroticism? Neuroticism is a personality trait, right? It's pretty much like the OCD type things. Oh no, I made this person angry. You feel really bad. It's kind of like the anxious tendencies of a person, right? So someone who's neurotic would be someone with an anxiety disorder, or like girls that want everything to be perfect, right? So yeah, now into what I was going to talk about. So in paragraph 375, Jung writes, the doctor begins to have a difficulty in distinguishing between the patient and what has taken possession of him, as has the patient himself. This leads them both to a direct confrontation with the demonic forces lurking in the darkness. The resultant paradoxical blend of positive and negative, fear and trust, hope and doubt, attraction and repulsion is the characteristic of the initial relationship. It is the hate and love of the elements which alchemists liken to the primeval chaos. The activated unconscious appears as a flurry of unleashed opposites and calls forth the attempt to reconcile them, So that, in the words of alchemists, the great Panacea, I don't know, I'm not saying that right, and the Medicina Catholica, I'm not saying that either, may be born. And the Panacea, is the Greek goddess of universal health and remedy, right? So you can bring up the archetype of health and remedy through reconciling the conscious and unconscious mind. Hence, Jung writing that individuation is to make the unconscious conscious, right? So, this is my explanation of the demonic forces. Jung wrote he was in the grip of the demonic in his reflection on his life. The definition of this word. In Greek, it means to divide or distribute destinies. And then I wrote, not a demon, although the demon does derive from the word. It is the idea man can choose his fate, though. Daemon became central to Jungian understanding of motivation, career, creativity, and one's potential for life. In the Jungian context, it means something alien to the ego, of the unconscious. It is of an archetype, or of numerous imperative, or of a numerous imperative from which the ancient peoples had attributed to higher power beyond human intellect. Because it is a universal archetype, it appears in all. In the primitives, it was the primitive power concept, otherwise known as their base spiritual understanding of the world, as every primitive culture had one. As autonomous psychic content, the demonic acts as desires as real as hunger, acting as a god, making demands within man. Socrates, Goethe, the German poet, I don't know, I'm probably not saying that right, and Napoleon, all right of being within the grip of the daemon. The daemon, I'm probably not saying the name right either, bro. I don't hear anyone say this stuff, so like bro writes in like Latin all the time and all this stuff. I have no fucking clue. He talks in like a lot of German as well. The daemon is autonomous and exists without the control of the ego and can possess man without his knowledge. Otherwise known as when someone is gluttonous, right? I need more burgers, more pizza, right? It's not within their ego that they're feeling this desire. It's a unconscious pull, the tentacle pulling the desire. Burgers. When someone is self-destructive, it's not coming from within their conscious mind or their ego. Someone is compulsive, right? It's coming from within the unconscious. So this would be the daemon. To be in the grip of such is to be within a state which you cannot seem to deny or oppose. So, due to this, it requires courage to deal with such a thing. The daemon is generally compensatory in nature. If we are up, it is down. If we are in stagnation, it is upbeat. Therefore, it holds the equilibrium. Hence, stuff going really well in your life, and the sudden urge to do the bad. I talked about, what video did I talk about this in? I don't know. A successful person takes a week detour and becomes a degenerate for that week, and it becomes the whole path. The urge when you're at the top to stop working. It's compensatory in nature. You've been upbeat, you've been active, become passive. It's telling you, it's bugging you with it, right? And it's the same thing with people that are overtly negative. It's like the pull, be better, you know. The daemon is generally, I just read that. Sorry guys. I'm tripping reading this, bro. I've been reading so much today. Here are the negative sides. This is the demon part. Self-destructive tendencies, discomforts, and dissonance between the internal and external. Everything's going well in your life. I want to change this for the worse. And here's the good. This is pretty long. The guardian angel and inner genius, or the heart, right? When you're like, my heart's pulling me. I can't do this. I can't do it. Why? I don't know. It would be the daemon. It's unconscious. Just you have to do it, you know? This allows for a dialogue between the ego and unconscious, making us better and more whole. Challenging the norms and values of the ego, which is easily influenced by others and society. In addition to this, it boosts the creative, and then this is a quote, from Jung. The fight against the paralyzing grip of the unconscious pulls forth man's creative powers. And then, after this, it goes on to what happens when you actually engage it. They call it waking up. Waking up. The process of transforming the daemon from an unconscious force into a power that is yours to command. One must realize what is ongoing, recognize the inner energies. Some of them are alike to the daemon, autonomous, and possess energy capable of transcending conscious needs and desires beyond what the ego can control. Given time and attention, one can get to know these forces and have a positive disposition towards them and draw their benefits. Knowing the daemon grants a part of the individuation through the analysis of the, I'm going to butcher this, enantiodromia, which is the Greek named Heraclitus's idea, meaning running to the opposites, the equivalent in the psyche of Newton's third law of motion. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. So that would mean, in this context, it is the idea that for every orientation within the conscious mind exists an equal and opposite orientation within unconsciousness. With this analysis comes a humanity to the disliked people. Therefore, this principle grants an understanding of projections. As long as one is asleep or unknowing to their daemon, they will project the negative aspects of this part of the unconscious to those that they dislike. Right? I unconsciously am very greedy and selfish. I see people that I don't like. These people are greedy. They only care about themselves, when secretly I'm doing it, but it's in my unconscious. So I don't know about it, considering that my daemon is still asleep to my conscious mind. The positive aspects will be projected upon authority figures such as parents, teachers, and priests. Hence why I imagine that my father has the same dispositions about parenting as I would for my kids. Same thing with teachers. I assume that teachers have the same dispositions that I would have as a teacher. Right? The daemon also causes us to suffer greatly, as wrestling with it is an inevitable grief that allows for us to experience greater compassion. Because fighting your desire allows for a greater understanding of, okay, these people probably aren't really choosing these actions. And I wrote, this is like a bit down the line. Hence, the narcissist experiences sociopathy with an inflated ego and minimal wrestling of the daemon. Right? The narcissist attributes all of his success, everything that has gone well in his life, to himself, and therefore sees the homeless man, you didn't work hard enough. Versus, on the opposite end of things, the person that has struggled with everything, right, the alcoholic, finds themselves excusing a lot of people's struggles, right? Oh, well, like, he probably had some fuck shit happen to him, blah, blah, blah. Probably isn't his fault, right? And then it talks about this thing called leapfrogging, which is the use of the unconscious in its intuition, vision, or belief. This grants guidance in purpose. For example, I did not consciously understand that I needed to help people live their lives the best that they can and be the best that I can. I just felt depressed not helping people. And then I felt a cognitive dissonance because of this, because it was an unconscious desire. I didn't consciously think I need to be changing lives. I just was depressed. But then, through the wrestling of this, right, I actually start to understand, okay, like, it was it's through analysis that I found this, and that's how you grow to understand the daemon, right? You have to analyze, and that's why I say to people, like, spend 40 minutes just laying on your mattress, bro, sitting in a chair, no phone, nothing going on. And I heard David Goggins say this as well. Someone said, I'm 14, how do I find what I want to do with my life? I'm 20, bro, I need to know what I should be doing. And he said, just sit in a room for 2 hours, no phone, nothing, and you'll figure it out. Wrestling with the unconscious. Right? And so because of this, therefore, the daemon holds a sort of spiritual calling within it. And then the stuff with creativity comes from the sense of change, because it holds the opposite attitudes as your conscious mind. Therefore, to tap into it, you'll unlock all the stuff that's on the opposite end of the equilibrium that you'd never hit consciously. Right? So you get an unprecedented change. And then this is what the picture of the video is going to be, so you'll get to see it there. But I wrote all that. And then these are just notes of questions that I was asking myself after reading this. Should you integrate this into your life? Well, to live at the whims of desire and the unconscious mind and allow it to control you will change your person entirely. In addition to this, it's like, it depends. Your unconscious keeps track of everything that your conscious mind doesn't, you know? It's like I said in the sleep video talking about the unconscious. Let's say you're drunk as hell and you learn a lesson, right? Oh, don't step on that plank. And then you wake up the next day, blackout. You don't remember a single thing from the night. You'll look at the plank and be like, you know? You learn a lesson when you're young as a kid, and it gets pushed out of your conscious mind. But you are reminded not to do the thing without the memory of the lesson. Therefore, what I'm getting to is that your unconsciousness holds everything that your conscious can't. So, does that mean it's better to listen to it? Well, I don't know, because like I explained, it's on an equal and opposite level. So, for you to be very successful within your conscious mind means that there's a equally and opposite unsuccessful version of you trying to drive you towards loss of success. So, should you follow it? Probably not. To an extent, I think you should integrate it for creativity, and I think you should learn to manage it, learn to recognize its patterns and stuff like that, get to know the shadow self, right? But I don't think that you should follow it, because to be within the grips of the daemon, as Jung writes, is a rather unpleasant process with a lot of problems. So is this demons? Well, biblically speaking, sin harbors demons, and repeated sin is a mental illness or demonization. Therefore, gluttony or addiction can be because of the daemon, and must be consciously solved, not in the unconscious, because your unconscious is just going to be keep doing it, anything addictive, right? Also, demons work to control actions and manipulate man through desire and evil, especially in good men, through the unconscious mind. Hence, the equal and opposite reaction of the saying, if the devil isn't tempting you, if he's not after you, then he already has you. Right? Good men struggle the most with urge and desire. Bad men, they don't really have much desire. There's not much of it there, you know? And I mean, it fits the saying perfectly. So when Jung writes he was in the grip of the daemon, does that mean that he was demonized? Well, most likely, I would say, because he's so into the occult. He doesn't write about it that much, but like, with the amount that he knows, I would imagine that he practices a good amount of it on the down low and just doesn't write about it. And I also think that he understands too many esoteric secrets of the universe that he couldn't not be using gnosis. I think he 100% uses gnosis, the knowledge of good and evil, demon knowledge, right? Or maybe something along the lines of Jack Parsons, what he did with the demons. Through sex magic, he learned to build the rocket engine. I mean, I think that would make sense if Jung did something along those lines. But who knows? You know. That's it, guys. Sorry, kind of a boring video, very monotone. I'm probably just gonna keep reading, to be honest. I was telling myself I wasn't gonna make a Jung video until I finish this book and then talk about it, but like, nah. Yeah, but the squid example of the octopus stuff, he didn't write that. I just made it up. So I hope that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, the unconscious can give you everything you would need to find success. That's true, right? All these things, I can't do it. You can. And it lies within your unconscious. That's your conscious mind. That's a weak ego. But that means that there's an equal and opposite, super strong version of you lying within your unconscious. So I think it's very important to integrate a lot of parts of the unconscious. Now, to develop a kind, nice relationship with the daemon, I don't know. I don't know about that, because it's also the reason that you fail, you know? But, I mean, who knows? Yeah, that sums it up, guys. Learn your unconscious patterns, behaviors. It really just comes from thought, honestly. Just spending time thinking, you know? And that's why, like, wisdom, a lot of wisdom lies in the unconscious, you know? It really does. Like, so when you take out time being with the unconscious, right? Jung would say that being bored, doing nothing, is drawing from the collective unconscious. So, to familiarize yourself with archetypes, to analyze them, you must tap into the unconscious. And then you could control your behaviors, learn the archetypes, how to work them. That's it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Really schizo stuff. But yeah, I hope I didn't mess anything up here. You can tell me if I did, if anyone's a Jung expert. But yeah.